up automatically. Will I do this? Actually, I'll do this differently. I'll do this. Just bear with me a moment. I'm going to open up Tangram. File, recent light curve. I had success with this one.
Your computer's slow, Dave. Get a Mac.
Long integrations. If I do this signal only, the event becomes much clearer than signal minus noise. But anyway, I'll do the analysis. Just, where's, okay, I'll bring, so this is IOTA's come up with this. Oh, I've got a drop frame in there. I thought that might be add a frame there. That's regularized the timing. Turn to that. It's an 8-frame integration starting there. And it's a mean background, so that's got rid of the noise from the background. And run that. And this is some of this happening on the other screen. So this is my event there. So, and I can go on and I'll analyze that. And I won't go any further than that. There's the analysis of it. Now, report the light curve. And I get this. So, 2 things I need to do. One is to set my details. I'm not going to worry about doing that now. You fill in that part of the form. But to set the light curve things, you just say, well, I'll have it from there to there.
That's it. And
that's it. Do that, specify your who you are. Well, I can do that there. Set there, that was.
And Dave, really, that's just clipping away a whole polar light curve, which is of no value. It's there's no precision involved, just enough baseline to show the event.
Yeah.
And
it's not intended for detailed reanalysis.
No, yeah. And if you didn't clip it and sent the whole thing, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's just bloating up a file that didn't need to be.
Yeah.
And you can finish up with the light curve so compressed in the data in display, you can expand it. But you just select a reasonable amount on either side, and it's an easy thing to select. You don't have to manually set any times. And for the regional coordinator, if I can show this a bit separately, I hope I can. I got the data to do this. Probably don't have the data. I'll do this as a dummy thing from the observations editor. Just wait for this to come up. I'll pick an event, doesn't matter which event here. And then I'll say from here, where can I drag that down? I've got a light curve, for example. Let's say I've got a light curve from this observer here. I can right click on that. Do I want to open the light curve report form? So I'll say, okay. And at this stage, I need to add a light curve. I don't think I'm going to have any CSV files. I'll just take a CSV file from here. It doesn't, it'll be a note, won't have an event, but I'll throw that in there. Return that. Here's the light curve data. Return to the analysis. And that's okay. That's the light curve. All I had to do was open the CSV file and do those steps. I'll select the region for it. Down here, the star number, observer details, and the asteroid are already populated. So from there, just click the save and email. So you can see how long that took me. It's sort of less than a minute's exercise. All you've got to do is know where the CSV file is. So I'd like to think I can talk all the regional coordinators into taking this extra step, but they're all feeling overworked and don't want to take on any extra, even if it's only 30 seconds extra for an observer.
So I guess at the moment, in terms of what I've been telling observers is when you have a positive, send me the LC file. And a nice graphic's good for me to stick on the website, but some people just send me the LC file and I'll make a graphic out of it. Generally don't get CSV files, but the LC file can generate the CSV easy enough.
Yes, it's easiest if you can have the CSV file, then it's trivial to create the light curve. I mean, and that's sort of something which Dave Galt would logically do if you got the CSV file with the data. Though an extra step for the observer, when they've measured it with Tangra, to save the Tangra data as a CSV file. And then include that with the report.
I already do all this for our region, so we just got to get the rest of the world to step up to the plate.
But really, as I hope you can see from that, it's to create the light curve file data is very straightforward.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's not quite the question I was asking, but what I do is I produce a light curve, which is first basic step. And in the report, the XLS report, you report the beginning and end of your times of your light curve.
Yeah.
And my understanding, which may be entirely wrong, is that because it's not coming out of IOTA, for me to get the beginning and ending of the observation, I go to the first frame that I can get to in the light curve, and I apply the correction to that. So the report has the correction applied to the beginning and the end of the observation.
Yeah.
So that's the correct time. But any numbers coming out, any of the times coming out of IOTA, like for example, in tab 6 there, you're getting times of the hour, the minutes and the seconds, but those numbers have had the frame where you've integrated, the frames have had the correction, the time correction applied to them as a result of having the camera and everything else in the process.
Yeah.
Are you talking about John, are you talking about the time that you started observing and the time you ended observing?
Correct.
Yeah, well, don't worry. Just report those times to the nearest second. Don't worry about doing a correction at all, because all I want to know is you started at 12:52 and 35 seconds. You know, that's more than good
Okay,
enough.
yeah, near a second, that's fine.
Near a second's good enough for start and end time.
But presumably any of the times coming out of IOTA have had the corrections applied to them.
Yes.
Yes, they
Yep,
would. Yes.
Okay,
I should note that we've had a couple of instances over the years where an observer has said, no, I haven't had an event, it's a miss.
Mm.
And then you find out when they actually observed from, and you find they started the recording a few seconds late.
Mm.
yeah,
So the start and end times of a report are significant for miss events which are reported as miss events, just to make sure that the period that they've recorded matches or includes the period, the time of the actual event. The precision of the start and end time of the recording is, I mean, you've been talking
not of
about,
great concern.
Mm.
yeah, Dave talked about the nearest second. I've said generally the nearest 5 seconds would be good enough.
Yeah,
It's-
nearest second's good enough.
Yeah, well, I've had the occasional event where I've still been trying to identify the field,
Yeah.
and I've noticed the time's gone by, and I throw my hands up in the air and say, "Oh well, it's bad luck."
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my observations about the documentation associated with IOTA and other things is that the software is very well documented in terms of what, for example, a field on a screen has and what the possible values for it are. But the process of actually using the documentation is not always straightforward. Yeah, I just find understanding what the process is not so obvious at times.
I can emphasize.
Yes, one of those odd words.
Yes, I can emphasize. Yeah.
Sympathize.
Sympathize. Yes. Between getting the code right and then getting the help file stuff right, I mean, you spend ages getting the program to work properly and getting bugs out of it and so forth. And then you make some sort of change and then, oh, what was it I did 2 days ago, which made this major change to how it works? And I've bloody forgotten. And just keeping the help file stuff up to date is a serious challenge in itself. I need an employee.
You need a slave or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like to respond there. I mean, my experience with technical work is that often the person who created the process is not the right person to be writing the documentation or the process documentation. I think this is something to take into the discussions about updating the observer manual and those kinds of things. Actually having examples of the workflow would be one thing to aim for. It's probably not Dave Harold or Dave Gee would be the person who would actually develop that workflow, but actually probably want to find someone else, because then that exposes the typical sorts of issues that people that are not experts or created the process run into, because that's really what you want to try and control with that. And then things like having a worked example. So, you have an example of a video file or a light curve, and then you show the example, and then someone can practice with it and see if they actually get the same result out of the software that the worked example says that they should get. Those are some of the things that could be done.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and that's particularly important with the increasing number of ways that people are doing recordings with the different types of software, because there's no way in hell that you can fully build IOTA so AOTA to handle all the different flavors of recording software and camera types and formats. You can't expect someone like Dave to have that all fully documented.
The other
It's
problem,
just unreasonable.
the other problem that I have, I mean, Occult has grown over the decades. It's had its genesis on Commodore 64, but it's grown over the decades, and there's so much in it that I lose track of what's in it. Every so often I think, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have this feature? When I start creating the feature, and I suddenly realize, oh, I've already got it. Oh, and there's other bits when I go to the code. I look at the code and I think, oh, this is good. Now, how on earth does this bloody code work? I've got no idea. Yeah, it's challenging stuff.
Well, my observation is that quite often I'm amazed at how quickly other people at times get their results out. Like Dave will have the light curve and the results come out before I have even got halfway through the light curve.
My process is, I mean, I sit inside and the telescope's outside, record inside, observation finished, immediately copy it into the desktop inside the home, open up Tangra, measure it, and if it's the last observation of the night while it's measuring, I'll close down outside. Yeah, I've got an event, open up AOTA from Tangra, and process it there, and within 2 or 3 minutes I'll have the final result. So I find it's familiarity, I guess, but I find I can do it very, very quickly. And then once you've got that there and using the Tangra, the AOTA Tangra stuff of maintaining the results, close it all down, report the time in Tangra, and then pre-fill the report. All the times are there. And the only things I manually include in the report for a positive event is the frames integrated, whether it's clear or not, and whether it's stable, and if I remember the signal to noise. That's the only manual entry I need. So the whole thing, from my perspective, runs really smoothly and can be done very quickly if you sort of, however I do it, it just goes from one step to the other very quickly.
Yeah, a lot of that's practice. Need to get out there and do a few more of them.
Yes.
Now, very conscious that we're nearly an hour over, and it's probably sunrise over at Bill's place. So if there's nothing more pressing, I'd like to draw the session to a close and invite everyone to TDSO 18 online or in person as you can, and see you in April. Obviously, we can chat and even organise Zoom sessions ad hoc since then. Just so you know, I have done a couple of Zoom sessions with people one-on-one to help them with particular issues. That's totally on the cards. Give us a call and we'll organise a time that works, or find someone who is a better place to help you with whatever you're doing. That's always possible. But failing that, let's meet again in April.
Yep.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Good to see you all.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks.